Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and in this video or podcast, depending on how you're watching this, I'm going to show you how to deal with a failed or a dead Roku remote. And that starts now. It seems as the more we use technology, the more it can become an Achilles heel. Now, for those of you who've been following me for several months know that I've got pretty much every streaming receiver that's made at this point. I've got the Roku, got the Apple TV, got the Amazon Fire, and I got the NVIDIA Shield. There's some others out there, but those are kind of the main four that I've been working with. Now, if you've got the Roku, and the Roku is the one I probably had, well, just about as long as some of the others, you're going to learn to live and die by this remote. Now, if you look, okay, well, we'll start off with these one. If this fails, it's not exactly dead. And let me show you why. There are a couple of tricks you can try. Number one, when you take the cover off, you notice two batteries in the back. Now, I've got the Roku Premier Plus. Now, if you don't have a set of batteries right at hand, what you can do is swap the order of these batteries. So whichever battery is in this position, put it in here and vice versa. If it's a low battery situation, that'll get you by for a little while. Now, you also should see some sort of indication on the TV if it doesn't see the remote or if it's got a low battery condition. And it usually works fine until it gets to about 1 bar, and then it's time to replace the batteries. If for some reason it still doesn't see it and you've already tried another set of batteries, then you may need to repair, and not repair as in fix, but repair your remote with it, and that involves doing this little button right here. Now, that's something depending on the exact model of Roku that you've got, may be, more straightforward than others. Now, if repairing it with your Roku doesn't fix it, putting new batteries doesn't fix it, you can try doing a hard reset of the Roku, but I really don't think that's it. It's pretty much, you're going to be isolating it to this. Now, there's a couple of ways around it, and the next one I'm going to show you, I would highly advise doing while this is still fresh, and we're going to switch over to my Samsung Galaxy S9, and this is the Roku Remote. Now, we'll first go out. We'll just exit all the way out here and we'll just kill it. And we'll go back in here and I'll go to my remotes folder on my phone, tap Roku. Now it's already gone out and done a discovery, and it thinks it knows the last one that I want to use. So if we go down here to the bottom where it says remote, that's going to give you very close to what you're used to. So you can go tap home, which is going to take you to the home screen of the Roku. The asterisk will let you do some selection options depending on the Roku app you're in. And you can, the others are pretty much self-explanatory. If you need to type something, you tap on the keyboard icon, and that's going to be pretty much like you're going through the on-screen selection, but probably a little bit easier. Now, there are some... Okay, we don't want to do voice search right now because it's going to mess up what's running in the other room. If you do decide that you're going to have to buy a new remote, I've got a link to the one on the Amazon that I use for my Premier Plus. You'll see there are Roku branded ones. You'll see there are some imported ones. I would, unless you got a lot of money to burn, I would be very hesitant about getting the ones other than branded from Roku. And here's the main reason why. And it's not because of the nice little blue fabric label on the bottom. If you need to reach out to Roku Tech Support and you're not using one of the remotes, well, you're pretty much going to be at the end of the trail there, boss, because that's, they're not really going to be able to help you. Now, if you do have to go get another remote and you're not using the Premier like I am, you'll want to do a look on the bottom of the Roku or go into the About screen and get the exact model number of the Roku you're on. And that's very important because some remotes work with some Rokus and others don't, much like Some TV remotes work and don't. There's not a generic replacement. I've seen for like the Apple TV, you can try to get a standard TV remote to work. Well, that's a whole nother discussion we're not going to go into. Now, you will notice a couple of things because I did have to go, for a family member, replace their Roku remote. The pre-programmed buttons here are probably not going to be in the same order, and you're not going to have some things like maybe the audio output here for private listening. Depending on the remote they're shipping, you may not have this. The buttons will be in a different order, but don't let that worry you. Roku's going to handle it. It's going to figure that out when you activate the new remote with your Roku. So it's, you know, if you need to go that route, then that's fine. As to batteries, now I've got alkalines in here. Nothing wrong with alkalines, and Duracell's not a sponsor. Love to have them, guys, if you want to work with me. But you can also use rechargeables, and depending how heavily you're using your remote, that is certainly an option. So we've talked about how to try to figure out if this is the problem. We've also talked about using the software, and I would have this one on your phone anyway. You might not need it 1 times out of 10, but if you start having a battle of the remotes with another family member, well, guess what? You've always got this one. So that's going to be just fine. Now, option 3 is that you can go to, and we're going to shift screens here for just a second. You have the option of using the Logitech Harmony Hub. Now, this is one, I do have one of these available. I've not used it for this yet, but you know what? I'm seriously going to give it a look-see to see how it's going to work. There are 2 different versions of the Harmony Hub to look at. Now, this is the one with just the hub. In this case, you'd use your smartphone. Now, I've been using the Logitech Harmony long enough. At one point, there was a website you did all this in, and Logitech decided to go away from that one for whatever reason. So everything now is built to the smartphone. You have the option of getting just the package you're seeing here, or for another $25, you can get one that ships with an additional remote. Your call. There's no right or wrong way. It's a matter of, do you want to have another remote to keep up with. So this really is, there's several options to work with here. You know, you can try seeing if you can resurrect this one if it's got problems, and you may find that it may just be low batteries. I've had low batteries be the problem more often as not, or if for say some reason this is dropped and hits the floor, it's entirely possible that one of these batteries may have gotten slightly dislodged where it's not making contact. So that's another option. You've got the Roku Remote. Now, there are several third-party remotes available on either the Android or the iTunes store. I went for the Roku one, not to say anything negative about the others. I'm sure they're fine, but I have a tendency on certain things to stick with whatever the manufacturer made available. Now, if they don't, such as the case of the NVIDIA Shield, I had to go to a third party. But there are options out there. And we talked about the Logitech Harmony Hub. So there's several things to look at, and you don't have to go with just one. Like I suggested earlier on, you know, if you've still got a functioning remote, go ahead and leverage what Roku has already done and come and go ahead and install the app on your smartphone or tablet, because that way, if you can't find this, and then you've got this. So you've at least got a fail-safe there. And also, having this is a good troubleshooting tool for this. If this works just fine, then you know it's not the Roku. If this doesn't, and this does, okay, this helps you. It's good for troubleshooting if nothing else. And then when you decide you want to kick it up a notch, certainly looking at the Logitech Harmony Hub, and I'm going to be exploring some more things on that one, because I'll be honest, I kind of let this one slip by me. I didn't really think about leveraging the Roku with it or any of my other streaming receivers. I was looking at it just to control the TV, but to their credit, Logitech's really got a very handy device. For those of you who've been watching the podcast for a while, I think I've been announcing at least for a couple of recordings now that I was working on a podcast that has launched, and I'll be trying to do a release of when I come up with the new video for YouTube within a day or two. I'm going to try to have the corresponding podcast out. Now, obviously, I've got a little bit of a back catalog from the videos I've done, so I'll be sprinkling those out over time, but I'll try to have them fairly close. The show notes you see on YouTube will also be the same ones that are going to be available on the podcast website, which is techbiteswithronnutter.com. I'm on all the distribution systems available. iTunes, hopefully, I've had a little problem with iTunes, and I'm waiting to hear back from them for them to clear something on their side, and then I'll be available on iTunes as well. But you can go right to the website, and depending on whatever podcast client you're on, I'm on TuneIn, I'm on Stitcher, I'm on Google Podcasts. So I'm trying to make myself as available as I can, and I'll try to keep improving how I do the podcast so that if I'm doing something that's very visual, I can kind of walk you along, at least until you've got a chance to watch the full video. I do have links in the show notes for a replacement remote for the Roku. I've got one in there for the Logitech Harmony. You can get one with or without the full keyboard remote. So there's any number of ways to do it. And we've looked a little bit in the past about doing voice control. I've found another package. Well, it's actually a very sophisticated system for a company called Cavo. I've reached out to them, and I'm trying to see if I can get their Cavo device in hand, which it will actually, it's almost like it reaches into the Roku and some of the other streaming receivers. So there's all sorts of options out there, and it's becoming very interesting. Every time I think I've about hit the critical mass of what's out there, there's more and more coming, and I think this is going to be an ongoing situation. So you've got an idea of where we're going to go. This really, the Roku is, and I'll be doing the same thing with the Amazon Fire, with the NVIDIA Shield, with the Apple TV to give you the options that are out there. So whichever streaming receiver you've got, and if you're like me, you may have more than one because there are some apps that are not available on, all platforms. I did that when I was looking a lot at some of the technical training options for some of the stuff that I do with IT on a day-to-day basis. Not all training providers were available on all the platforms. So you may have to get another streaming receiver because of that. Or because you got your PlayStation 4 and it has some options. So there's different things out there, and who only knows what's going to happen when Disney rolls out their streaming service. So it's just going to be a very interesting time to see what's going on. Well, I appreciate your time very much for watching this, or if you're listening to the podcast. I'm trying to do about 2 to 3 a week. Anything that you see in the show notes, whether you're looking at on YouTube or on the podcast website, those are affiliate links. I do get a small commission from that. If you buy something, I really appreciate it, but it's not going to change your price. And if I see something I don't like, you're probably not going to see me talk about it, because it's possible, and I always do this when I tell all the companies that I work with on their products, before I put something out, if I think it's a problem, I come to that company, because it could be something that I'm doing wrong, because I don't want to disparage a company's reputation when it may be something that I'm not doing right. Or if I help them identify a problem, I want them to have that fixed, because there's too many out there already that are saying, oh, this is bad or this is junk. I don't do that. You've got enough on the go that you can see when something's not going to work or not. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you for watching and listening to the podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode.